Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Australia, so it's my first Aussie beer review for you in quite some time actually. I actually think the last Aussie beer I reviewed for you was one when I was down there, so that's quite a long time ago, almost 2 years actually since I was down there. But for this one we are going to go to Adelaide in South Australia, and this is a brewery that's getting some really rave reviews at the moment. So we're going to have a taste of a beer from Pirate Life Brewing, and this one is the Throwback IPA, which is a session IPA coming in at 3.5%, and this one was rated 85 on Rate Beer when I checked it out, so it should be really nice, and a lot of the Aussie beer lovers I know are really going crazy for this brewery, so I'm really glad that I found this in Glasgow and I'm finally able to review one of these for you on the channel. So I hope you guys enjoy the review. If you're interested in Australian craft beer, the guys like Swilling Grog and also the Beer Healer in Australia, two really nice Australian reviewers actually, they'll be able to keep me more up to date on Australian beer than I can. Hopefully I can get down to Australia again and get some more beers to review for you at some point soon. Either that or I'll get some of my friends to bring some over for me, but we'll see how that goes. And a shout out as well in this video to one of my long term Aussie subscribers, John Shepherd. So I hope you guys watching in Australia all enjoy this review. Hopefully I can do more Aussie beers for you in the future. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Pirate Life. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel incidentally has a geography tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of the beers from different countries. There is an Australian one in there that you can have a look at. I've reviewed some really nice Aussie beers in the past, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review. Always interesting to hear from you guys, and your support is much appreciated. And do let me know some other Australian beers and breweries that I should look out for, but I've reviewed maybe about 30 or 40 Australian beers on the channel for you already. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Pirate Life Brewing then. So Pirate Life were founded back in 2014 in Hindmarsh, which is an inner suburb of Adelaide in South Australia. But the company co-founders are Michael and Jack Cameron, and also Jared Proudfoot, who is just known as Red, and these guys are native Western Australians. And basically Jack and Jared actually met while they were working for Brewdog in Aberdeenshire here in Scotland, but when they returned to Australia, Jack actually spent some time working for Little Creatures while Red actually set up a beer and cider company which was called Cheeky Monkey. But Jack's father Michael had been involved in hospitality for years, and he thought that the boys had a lot of experience and they would be able to start their own company, so he set about raising the cash to start a brewery, and then the trio settled on Adelaide for the location because they really liked the kind of local food and drink culture. They said that the Adelaide people were really proud of their local produce and the fact that they were from the city, so they thought it was an ideal place to start up their own company. But since establishment, these guys have really grown significantly. It started out just with the three of them, but they've now grown to employ over 20 people, and they have their own distribution company which is called the Pirate Cartel, but this started after they acquired the Palais Distribution Company in July 2016, and over these last couple of years they've been constantly expanding to kind of improve their capacity, bring out new beers and things. When I checked out Rate Beer earlier, they had 13 different beers that they'd done, but as far as I can figure, there are only 3 available in can at the moment. That may change, and of course I'm filming this review for you in January 2017, so that probably, maybe by the time you're watching this review, they do have some more beers out. But as I say, a very well regarded brewery in Australia. There's a lot of good breweries out there, incidentally, that you can check out, but there are the beers, the Australian craft beers in Europe are a little bit like gold dust, so I'm really glad that I was able to get one of these for you to try. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting section of this beer then. I'm really looking forward to this. I'll just let you have a little quick look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. So let me just bring up the camera there. There you are. So as you can see, this is the kind of style of artwork that you seem to get a lot from Pirate Life. It's quite a nice, simple, modern thing. It does remind me a little bit of Modern Times beer from over in California. I think these guys might be older than them, though I might be wrong there. But really nicely presented. This is the Pirate Life symbol, of course. All the cans are kind of similar, but just different colours here. Tells you a little bit about the address and things like that, but very nicely presented. As I say, it comes in at 3.5%. I've got the specs of the beer here to tell you. So as I said, 3.5% session IPA. It's hot with New Zealand Cascade, Simcoe and Crystal hops, with a malt base of Maris Otter, Carapils, Crystal and wheat malts. So should be really nice. So I guess without further ado then, we can get this guy open and to get on with the tasting. Really looking forward to this. Yeah, Yeah, so I got this beer in Valhalla Goat, which incidentally in Glasgow is a very, very nice beer shop. One that I kind of very often frequent when I'm at home here in Scotland. And hopefully, like I say, we can get some more Australian craft beers. You know, I've tried some great things from Hop Dog Beer Works, you know, Three Ravens, Bolt Rocker Brewery is another one that springs to mind, Cooinda. There's a lot of good Australian craft beers, and you know, there's a lot of experimentation with Aussie hops going on just now. So I think Australia, they're a little bit behind New Zealand at the moment when it comes to the volume of craft beer and things that they produce, but there are some really good brewers out there just now. So they just need a little bit more time, and I'm sure they will be producing some even more awesome stuff than they already are at the moment. But yeah, this beer looks really nice. So as you can see, if I just hold this beer up to the camera, I'll just bring the light over a little bit, let you see that colour a wee bit more. It's a kind of rich orangey amber honey colour, this one actually. Really quite clear actually. If I put my fingers behind the glass, I can see right through it. There's some big bubbles just sticking towards the side of the glass there, and there's a solid kind of one finger head on this one. It is actually quite bumpy, but there is a good bit of froth to it at the same time, and I can tell you when I'm moving this beer about, there's a good bit of a floral aromaticity, but there's a good bit of the malty character just coming out of the nose as well. But overall, looks like a really quite nice IPA this. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and see how we get on with it. And for me, the first thing that's kind of sticking out of this is the Simcoe. I can really smell that kind of typical passion fruit note that you get from the Simcoe hops. But underneath, of course, there's a good little bit of caramel in this one. You can smell it's a little bit toasted almost. And there's a kind of bready character to there as well. But when it's an IPA, of course, it's the hops, and the complexity of this beer really does come out from the hops in this one. So there's a wee bit, I'm getting a wee bit of a slightly earthy and herbal note from this one. That's the crystal hops coming out, of course. But for this one, that's only really when you shake it up. When you let it just settle, you get a bit more of the fruitiness. It does lean more towards that. But when you sugar it up just like this, that's when you get a little bit of this herbal sort of earthy note that is the kind of trademark of the crystal hop. But yeah, there's some nice fruity character in there. It's mainly, I'm getting a good bit of the passion fruit in this one, maybe even a little bit of orange or something as well, which is unusual because normally you don't expect orange from the hops that are in this one. There's a wee bit of grapefruit there, just kind of underneath the passion fruit, but I think it's mainly the Simcoe fruits that are sticking out on this one. It's got that nice kind of juicy feel. The grapefruit aroma, of course, is one that's very distinctive, but for me it's definitely leaning towards these nice kind of fruity passion fruits. As I say, there's a bit of earthy and kind of herbal character in there. There's a good floral aromaticity to this beer as well. All three of the hops in this one have a bit of floral character, but mainly the Cascade and the Simcoe with this one. But as I say, it's the Simcoe fruits for me that are sticking out, and a bit of bready malt in there. It's a slightly toasted caramel, maybe some biscuit as well, but overall it smells like a really nice IPA. But just take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of this before you get stuck in. That's always half the experience with craft beer, of course. But let's give this beer a try now. So this one is the Throwback IPA, 3.5% session IPA from Pirate Life Brewing, a very well regarded brewery from Adelaide in South Australia. Slàinte. That's pretty nice actually. It's quite interesting, this one. You can tell a little bit that it's, you know, you can see with this beer immediately that it is supposed to be a session IPA, this one, because there really isn't very much boozy character to it at all. It's really a nice kind of wet, drinkable beer. Yeah. You know, with this one, it's quite interesting. You can taste the sort of Maris Otter character coming out of it. I always remember Maris Otter being this really bready malt, but you can feel the crisp, you can feel all the malts in this one, you know. There's a little bit of the carapils that you can pick out in the middle of your tongue. There's just that little bit of almost sweet, biscuity character to the malt base in this. So you can just feel that sweetness there in the middle, but really, the middle of your palate's just blanketed with this big, white, bready character in there. There's a little bit of the kind of toasted graininess that you'd expect to the Maris Otter malt, but really it's the wheat, I think, that's dominating the flavour for the most part of the middle palate, or the middle of your tongue, like I say. But it's really interesting. The malt in this one, it actually takes a little bit of time to come out, so you can feel it just as the beer is starting to warm up, it really just starts to push its way out. So as I say, you've got this white bready character that goes right across the middle of your palate. Right in the centre of the tongue, you can feel a little bit of that carapils character coming out. There's a little bit of sweet caramel in there, and as you move further out from the very, very centre of your palate, there's almost a kind of toasty, grainy thing going on there. That, I think, is the Maris Otter, and the wheaty character really is what's moving out towards the edge of your palate there. You can get a little bit... I'm not picking up too much in the way of the crystal, but I think it's just the kind of wheaty elements of the beer overpowering that. But of course, when it's an IPA, you know, it's the hoppy side of things that you're interested in. And the crystal hop, in my experience, is one that you don't come across too often. So that's the interesting perspective, or the interesting point about this beer for me. And you can pick up that a little bit, like in the back corners of the palate, I'm getting a wee bit of the earthy character that you expect from that hop. And as you come further forward, you can feel a little bit of the floral aromaticity. It does feel as if there's maybe a wee bit of pine resin in there, but normally you don't expect that from the Cascade or from the Simcoe, of course. You know, pine resins are it's more Chinook and things that will give you these sort of hops. But there's a good dark floral aromaticity to this one. It's almost a little bit spicy, and you can taste a little bit of herbal character in there. Again, that's a characteristic of that crystal hop. So just, you know, it would be cool to try that one actually in a single hopped beer. So I do need to see if I can find one of those for you at some point and just learn a little bit more about that hop, because it is a fairly new one to me. You know, even after 900 videos, you always are still learning when it comes to beer. There's so many things coming out these days. But, you know, it has this thing. So as I say, earthy in the back corner of the palate. A little bit herbal in there, but mainly a kind of slightly dark floral aromaticity. Maybe even pine resins. But around the front corner of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. And then just behind that front curve of the palate, that's where you're getting the fruity notes of this beer. So there's a little bit of a kind of grapefruit character just underpinning it, but on top of that you can get a little bit more of the kind of passion fruit flavours that you expect to the Simcoe. Of course, Cascade and Simcoe, passion fruit for the Simcoe will come out, the grapefruit comes from the Cascade, of course. But it's definitely quite a nice beer, this one. You know, of course, I love the ones, as I've always said in my reviews, I love the ones that have got just a bit more caramel in them, but this one does the job that it sets out to do. You know, it's meant to be a nice, light, drinkable IPA, and it certainly does that. It's not the most aggressive beer when it comes to the hops. They're all a bit well blended. They're quite well blended together, and it's all about how the flavours just come out. It's meant to be an easy drinking IPA, this one, and it certainly hits that note. It's one of the better, kind of lighter, or lower ABV IPAs that I've come across, I should say. But yeah, really nice. And to be honest, as my mouth kind of adjusts to it a bit more, you do start to get a wee bit more from the malt base in this one, which maybe gives you the impression that it is a little bit more than 3.5%. What's interesting about this beer for me, of course, is mainly I live in Sweden, and this one actually could go in the supermarkets in Sweden, because you can't sell anything over 3.5% ABV in supermarkets. So this one would actually be one of the folk ale that we would get in Sweden if it was allowed, or if they could produce enough of it. So that's an interesting beer. This would certainly be a good addition to the supermarkets in Sweden, but of course it's more likely to be Systembolaget that you're going to find over there. But a really nice session IPA. I have to say, in terms of that particular branch of IPA, it certainly is really quite good, and I've enjoyed this one. I have to say, if you get the chance to try this, I would recommend that you do. This one is probably more suited to those of you who like a big floral aromatic IPA. It's not quite as fruity as some of the ones you come across, but again, usually when you have the higher ABV, that's when you get a little bit more of the malty sweetness and a bit more of the fruity juicy character, of course. But this one, in terms of a light drinkable IPA, it certainly hits the spot. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I'd say this is quite light bodied. It's actually got quite a wet mouthfeel. The carbonation is you know, it's quite light actually. There is just a little bit of a prickle to it, but really it's quite a light, wet and drinkable beer, this one. There's a little bit of hoppy bitterness to it, but overall You know, it is quite a smooth beer. The malt base in this one is a little bit smooth. There's a wee bit of bitterness from the almost kind of toasty, grainy character in the middle of your palate. There is a little bit of sweetness there as well. There's a bit of hoppy bitterness, and that builds as you move into the aftertaste. But it's nowhere near as aggressive and hoppy as some of the other ones you're going to come across. And of course, you've got a little bit of juicy character from the fruits in this one as well. But the grapefruit really underpins this beer, and it gives you that really dark flavour to it as well, which makes it maybe seem a little bit more bitter than it actually is. But overall, it's a really nice IPA. As I say, it's probably for those of you who more enjoy a big kind of floral IPA. There's not too much fruitiness in this one, and there's not too much sweetness in the way of the malt base as well. But overall, a really solid beer. And on the basis of this one, you know, I can see when they're taking this approach to their brewing, I can see why some of the Pirate Life beers have got a really good reputation. So hopefully I can try. They've got a 6.8% IPA, the regular IPA, and they've also got the double IPA as well. So hopefully I can find those to review for you fairly soon, because those are the ones that really do have the plaudits. But in the meantime, it's been really cool to try my first beer from these guys. As I say, a very well regarded brewery in Australia at the moment. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching my beer reviews. I hope you've enjoyed my first review from Pirate Life Brewing. As always, please do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Always interesting to hear from you guys. As I said, to those of you in Australia, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review. Do check out the playlist of Australian beers reviews that I've done for you before as well on the channel homepage. But thank you again for watching. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media and let me know some other Australian beers that I should be reviewing. So this one was the Throwback IPA from Pirate Life in Adelaide, South Australia. Slàinte just now.